What's up, guys? It's Teresa. I know it's been a long time since I've made a video. It's been about 7 months since I've sat on this couch and made an off-the-cuff video like this. I know the last two videos, one was an interview and one was more of a seminary project that I did, so it was like an academic paper. But I know it's been a long time. I've been really busy. I've been going through a lot in my own life, and I just wanted to kind of step it back into my YouTube channel and say what's up, and kind of give some reflections about some things that I've been experiencing that I want to share with you guys. Everything's been kind of weird in the world. I think we're kind of all at that point. We're all navigating a lot of complex things in general. Today, I wanted to talk about hope and determination. It's something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, and I wanted to share these thoughts with y'all. So today, I was going on a walk and I was thinking about how important it is that we stop running from something and start running towards something. I feel like a lot of the last year, well, really few years for me, it's been a lot of reflection on some of the really difficult things that I've been through. And it's kind of kept me locked into kind of reminiscing or ruminating on the past. And while I know that it's important to go through those phases where we're processing and we're going through those downtimes, I've realized just recently that in order for us to be able to kind of move into that new space, and I know that this happens in phases, it's almost like you go through something really hard and then it takes kind of like waves to get better from it. It doesn't happen all at once. But something that I realized is there's a difference between depression and getting like locked into a holding pattern of the darkness. I think that all of us go through depression in our lives, some of us more intense than others, but there's a reason for depression, and I think that it can be used in a positive way, and we need to kind of go through downtimes sometimes. But there's a difference between that and getting stuck. And you can get stuck in a depressive phase and not get out of it. And this can be a problem. Sometimes this means you need, some medication, you need to go see a doctor, you need to get some help to, get your hormones figured out, and it's a chemical imbalance. But moreover than that, like on a spiritual side, instead of getting plagued by that just darkness all the time, the question becomes like, how do we get out of that? How do we move into something better? And something I've been reflecting on a lot is the idea of hope. So when it comes to hopelessness, it's because we can't see the future. We can't see what's beyond. We can't see something good or positive out of the current situation that we're in, or maybe because of the past, and we're stuck. We can't see beyond that. When you go on the other side of that, let's explore what hope is. What is hope? It's being able to look into the future and see beyond this veil, this physical reality that we have, the now that exists that we don't see beyond because we live in a temporal reality where we don't see the future. We don't see what's beyond the veil. And so the question becomes, how do you go from hopelessness to hopefulness? And the answer is faith. So I wanted to go into Hebrews chapter 11 and talk about verse 1. Now, faith is the assurance, title deed, confirmation of things hoped for, divinely guaranteed, and the evidence of things not seen, the conviction of their reality. Faith comprehends as fact what cannot be experienced by the physical senses. For by this kind of faith, the men of old gained divine approval. Okay, so faith isn't just belief in something willy-nilly, magical, mystical, doesn't exist. Faith is trust in that which is unseen. So this is the reality. We are only living in this physical temporal existence for a short period of time. This is all temporary. What's eternal lies beyond. There's a veil that covers up reality. At some point, that veil is going to be lifted and everything is going to be restored. Literally everything. There is nothing that's broken right now that is not going to be completely restored by Jesus Christ in the second coming. So when we ground into that, everything shifts. So let's go back to that idea of hopelessness. When you're stuck and you can't see what's beyond. Sometimes when we're in our current reality, it's really hard to trust or even think that there's something beyond what we're experiencing, and that can really bring us down. I tell you what, it's been hard for me. It's been really, really hard over these last few years. I know it's been hard for pretty much everyone in the world. We're going through so many transformational shifts right now that it's kind of impossible not to get bogged down by this sometimes. So I think this is a timely video because we have to breathe sometimes. We have to take a step back and realize that this is all temporary. And when we can do that, we can just take a breath, take a pause and remember that this is not going to last forever. Anything you're going through right now, anything that you feel like is never going to come to an end, and you're in that state of mind where you're just going like, I really can't see the end of this, I promise you, this too shall pass. You are going to get through it. All of us are going to get through this. It's so important for us to realize this and hold on to each other right now, because I know that it's hard on so many fronts. People are going through a ridiculous amount of pain and transformation right now. So I just want to give a quick shout out, y'all, let's keep this together. And I'm also really interested in y'all's thoughts on this idea of shifting from this hopelessness to hopefulness through the avenue of faith. What gives you faith? I think that also what's really interesting to think about, when we have faith, it's because we've seen transformation. We know in our hearts that things shift. We know, we have this confident expectation of eternal salvation, that which lies beyond. A lot of people have experienced this because they've gone through transformation in their own lives where they have seen life come from death. And so I want to ask you, what gives you faith? How do you know that things are going to be okay? And I think for me, I've always had kind of a positive outlook, and I've always believed in God. I've always believed in the supernatural, and I've always believed in that which lies beyond. But for me, it really wasn't until a few years back when I was delivered from the dominion of darkness. I was delivered from the pit. I was delivered from the darkest of the dark and the lowest of the low. I was delivered by God into his kingdom. And going through that shift, that revelation, it was revealed to me what was beyond. I got a glimpse into the freedom in Christ. The bonds were broken and the weight was lifted off of me when I realized that these things in this temporal reality, this temporary stuff, this money, power, fame, all this stuff that we see, things are not what they seem. This is just the surface. When you're looking at the internet, you're looking at the TV, you're going about your daily life, you're going through that matrix life, that's just what you see on the surface. There is something so much deeper. There's a spiritual substance that penetrates all of this. And the idea is that we're called into communion with God at every step of the way. It's time to take this seriously and realize that growth is part of it. That's the whole point. Transformation's the point. This is a painful time. It's a painful life. It's supposed to be painful. Pain is worth it. Pain, there's not any closer that I personally feel to God when I'm going through something painful. I don't know about y'all, but that's just that's just the truth for me. If I was gonna glide through my life without any kind of resistance at all, what kind of a life is that? Because it's those nuggets of wisdom that come out of those difficult times. That's what it's all about. We're leveling up through those transformational periods. And so if we can take ourselves out of those pits and look at it from the outside in and go, okay, I'm in a pit right now and I don't really know how I'm going to get out of this, but I'm going to have faith and I'm going to pray. I'm going to pray through this. I'm going to know that God is greater. God is sovereign over my circumstances. God is sovereign over my entire life. God is sovereign over the entire world, and we are going to get through this. God is going to get me through this. And we surrender. And I've found in the last few months of my life, I have done so much surrendering. I've just gone, God, I'm giving this to you. I can't see anything. I don't have any idea what is going to get me through. I don't know what it looks like, but God, I'm giving this to you because you're stronger than me. You are sovereign. You know what's going on. I don't. I can't see beyond the veil. So here it is. I'm going to let you take this burden on, and I'm just going to trust in you. And it has alleviated a lot of stress for me, and it has allowed me to coast and glide. And I tell you what, when you surrender and you let God take the wheel and just drive, it's like things shift and you find a lot more peace in your heart. You find that what envelops you is just this calm, pervasive energy that you don't feel like you're on this ship in the storm anymore. You feel like you're just rock solid going through the storm, and you're shielded, you're protected. And so anyway, those are just some of my thoughts. I'm interested in hearing what y'all have to say. I know that over the last year I have really tried to traverse into some of these more difficult topics about spiritual warfare, and I have to tell you what, guys, those videos take a lot out of me. The last video I did about the demonic entity of Jezebel and my car accident and everything, that drained me so much, because there's a lot of emotional energy that goes into making these videos. but I realized in the last week, as I've been telling you guys what I've been thinking about, this whole idea of like stopping from, running from something and instead running towards something. I had this realization, I have a lot of questions about like sort of where I should take the channel, what I should talk about, those kinds of things. But I stopped and I realized, the majority of the books I have that I've acquired in the last few years have had to do with Catholic exorcism and spiritual warfare. I realized I pulled all my books out the other day, and I noticed that the entire top shelf, that's all spiritual warfare. A lot of this stuff is, Christian books from seminary and everything that I've been reading. And it's a lot of spiritual, this is a great book, spiritual warfare. Manual for Spiritual Warfare, Occult Bondage, Demonology, Past and Present, Dangers to the Faith, Exorcism. And then, so this last week, I've been reading Diary of an American Exorcist, and it's excellent. I read it in 3 sittings, and I couldn't put it down. And I was thinking about this topic, and I'm like, man, spiritual warfare is something that I am dedicated to discussing. And I sat there and I was thinking about it, and I'm like, I think I want to pursue this, and I'm praying about it. And I reached out via email. I found the author's email address, Msgr Stephen J. Rossetti, and I sent him an email, and I was like, I would be honored if I could interview you on my channel. And I told him, what happened. And for those of you who follow my channel, that I've been through a lot of spiritual warfare, direct demonic attacks and things like that over the last few years. And I was delivered. And so I have firsthand experience of these things, and I'm fascinated by the topic. And I have a lot of, I've read a lot of books on this stuff, and I just think it's incredibly fascinating. Anyway, so I was praying about this, and I'm like, Lord, I don't really know what direction you want me to take this channel, but I need some motivation. I need to figure out like what it is that can get me back on the train of opening back up and sharing the content. And I just gave it over to God. And that night I experienced some demonic greeting over the night, and woke up in the morning to an email from the exorcist that wrote this book, and he said that he would love to do the interview. And I'm really excited. And it was just one of those things, and I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm actually so stoked. Sorry, I lost you guys for a second. I am so stoked to do this interview. I'm interviewing him on Saturday. I'm going to pre-record it because I want to do some editing after the fact, but you guys got to get this book, Diary of an American Exorcist. It is amazing. I've read pretty much everything I could get my hands on when it comes to Catholic exorcism. A lot of the stuff was from the previous, I've talked about these books before, the previous main chief exorcist at the Vatican, Father Gabriel AMORTH. I never know how to pronounce it. I need to look up how to pronounce his name. But anyway, he died a few years back, and I went to the Catholic bookstore the other day, and I found this book, and I was like, what? We got a new exorcist in the, I mean, he's not new. I mean, he's been, I think he's got 30 years experience, but as far as in the Catholic bookstore, it was a new book that I had seen. And yeah, this book came out in March of 2021, so it's a brand new book. And I cannot wait to interview this guy. Oh my goodness. And if y'all have any questions, please let me know. Jump down there in the comments if you have questions for a Catholic exorcist who's amazing and has a ton of experience. We're going to talk to him. And yeah, thank you guys for watching this video. Again, I just want to reiterate. Let's stop running from things and start running toward something. So when I say running toward something, I mean running toward God. We have only so much time on this planet, and there are so many distractions. There are so many things that we can make idols out of, that we can elevate into places that they don't deserve to be in. We need to always keep God at the center of our lives. And I say this to myself. I say this because I need to hear it. I am so weak. I am so defective and deficient, and I need to consistently every day remind myself, where is my center? What is my true purpose? And every day that I wake up, I can bring that back to glorifying God. It doesn't matter what, you're being called to in your life today, tomorrow, the next day. You're always called to be a saint. You're always called to humble yourself and connect with God and be in direct communion with him at all times. Anyway, I hope that this is resonating with y'all. I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Thank you for hanging out with me. This is turning into kind of a long video. But again, this is Teresa Yanaros. If you haven't subscribed yet, go on down there, hit subscribe, hit the like, hit the bell for notifications for when I make new videos. And I will see you guys probably next week when I release the interview with Stephen J. Rossetti. Make sure you get this book, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.